What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new For Honor video, and today I'll be teaching you all how to gain XP faster than any one of your friends. This is incredibly simple to do, and it kind of astonishes me every day that the community doesn't know how to do this. Well, at least a small portion of it. This is also good for collecting amounts of steel and completing orders very quickly, and it would be the method I recommend to any new player to get fast reputations. With that said, there are a few things you're going to need to do before we get into this video. I'd like it if you could like, comment and subscribe on this video. It would really mean the world to me. It takes a lot of time to make this content, and it would just be nice to have a community built around me, to be honest. Secondly, you're going to need a few additional things. You're going to need to at least collect around 2,000 steel to get the max amount of XP possible during this process. I'd highly recommend you buy the champion status and also collect some salvage so that you can get the XP boosts. Again, I'd like to quickly preference this by saying, just in case you don't know, when you use salvage let's say in a short period of time, it will increase gradually the amount of salvage that it costs to buy XP boosts. This is very important to know because if you spam your salvage too much, it will eventually get to a point, especially if you're a lower rep on a character, where you cannot afford an XP boost. Now, the way you counteract this is simply by getting to higher reps, so when you open crates you can get more valuable gear and they discard for more salvage. With that in mind, the first process you're going to be following is not using too much of your salvage until you're about rep 7 or 9. With all that said, let's jump straight into the tutorial. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and let's get into it. So now we're going to hop over into the main menus and go straight into our orders. The first thing you're going to look for is anything breach related in any capacity, and then you want to pick orders that relate to the champion you're trying to level. For instance, in this one I'm trying to level up the new Viking hero, so I'm going for Fearless Warrior and Executioner. After you find the orders you want, you're going to head over to Breach quickly, and then you're going to switch it from player versus player, unlike I did here like a little fool, and switch it to AI. Once you queue into an AI game, the first thing you're going to want to do is just play the game. However you want, you could either kill them all, just try to make sure you win. Playing against AI really isn't that hard, and if you need any more help with it, I'll make a video on the speedrunning techniques I use to get through this game quickly. But with all that said, it all comes down to if you want to play against AI. You could easily do this method against players, although it definitely won't be as fast and you will have XP losses. In this video I'm trying to demonstrate the most consistent way to get XP, and by far Breach is it. Breach versus AI gave me roughly 2 levels per game, which is incredible. This is more than any other game mode in the game. If you did this continuously, you would gain more and more XP, until you get to a point where you're filthy rolling in XP. The best time to actively use this method is when there's an XP or just any double XP event on. By far, you'll go from earning 2 levels to 4 levels per time, which is essentially nearly 25% of a rep each time, just a bit under. That is simply incredible, and those XP gains are it's maddening. I've seen someone before going from a rep 1 Jinjao at the start of this event to a rep 21 within a couple of days. I think it was 4 days maybe. The potential behind this XP is absolutely ludicrous, and as long as you've got enough focus, dedication and a couple of hours, to be honest, you could easily rep up a character once every about 3 hours, which is a lot more consistent than a lot of other methods. Now, don't quote me on that, I'm not overly sure on the time, but this is by far the fastest way to do it. If you stay in a game and re-queue and double XP with champion status and your own XP boost on top of it, just think of the rewards you could get. But you all probably want to know how hard this game mode is to actually play, so I'll demonstrate with a quick Breach game just to show you how quickly you can actually slay the AI and gain the XP. Jumping straight into a game here, we are going to be on the attack side of Breach. Now this is definitely the better side to be on, as you can complete the game faster, simply either by not letting them get through the first or second gate, or if they do manage somehow to get through those first 2 gates, you can just kill them all until they run out of lives. The AI in this game has not been very good for a very long time, and whilst there is different difficulty scales to the AI, I promise you with a little bit of practice you can beat them all very consistently. You can even practice against AI if you really so desire in the menus. One thing I found really helpful while doing this, especially against the lower level AIs, you can easily light attack spam them down and then finish them off with an unblockable to get your execution orders. If you are struggling with the execution side of things because the minions keep hitting you out of it, the simple solution to this would be to camp the spawns or just wait for them to drag away from the minions. You can simply do this by aggroing enemies by hitting them one and then just running away. As I mentioned earlier, this won't actually increase your skill per se in the game. I would argue that it would probably do the opposite and encourage you to do quite bad habits. But if you're already quite experienced like the game, like myself, and you've got a new account and you just want to verse harder players, this method is definitely for you. Or if you just want to show off to your friends and how high you can rep and be like, wow, how did you do that? This is also for you. This method, as I said, is extremely effective during the XP fest, but it is still the fastest even when there's no double XP on. It is always key to keep in mind those orders do refresh once a day, and I highly recommend you always pick up new orders. It will heavily increase your XP gains and make this method much more effective. I'm going to speed up the gameplay a little bit here as it's quite repetitive, as you could probably imagine. What I will say to you, the best way you can actually speed this up per se is by grabbing any abilities you can around the map. It will make you exceedingly powerful. Just play near a health thing, constantly clear the breach ramp, on attack that is. On defense, it's actually a lot more simple but a bit more slower depending on your teammates, etc. You just want to kill absolutely everything. Remember, you'll gain more XP if you have a higher objective score, so I recommend searching up a few videos on how to play Breach properly. But if you guys want to see me explain on how I play Breach now, as I said, Ving AI can be very boring, so I suggest that you find another way to entertain yourself while you do this method. My personal favourite thing would be to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine while I play this, as it's one of my favourite TV shows. Comment down below what your favourite TV show is. I'd like to see what your all's favourites are. Now, the Vulgarian Guard has just come out and he is incredibly fun to play. I'd highly recommend any of you pick him up. He makes this method very easy, having just an unblockable you can chain out of nowhere is just very nice, I guess, in the long run. Like I just said, AI is an experience. If you've never played AI before, they do very stupid things, or they either parry everything or miss everything. That's just kind of how it goes. In my experience, it's better to be on the attack side because you usually get better AIs. But with that said, when you're doing this method, always keep in mind that when you've got an inflated rank, you might be coming up against better players, but at the end of the day, if you just want to flex on Dominion players with how amazing you are at this and look how amazingly high rep I am, this is definitely for you. Now, mechanics wise, I wouldn't say it's that taxing to play. Mentally is the more part you're going to want to be focusing on. I can't stress this enough, can be quite boring to do unless you generally enjoy versing AI, and all power to you, because if you do, you're going to have a blast doing this method, to be honest. Now, I can't lie, this wasn't myself that taught me about this method, it was one of my good friends, Orim, and once he taught me about this method, it just made the rep 70s seem a little less scary, which is something that I would like to advise anyone against playing a rep 70. Don't ever be scared. Those people that have got rep 70 either probably used a method similar to this, or they just Dominion spammed. Rep is not necessarily a sign of skill, it's more of a sign of commitment. Now, there's a few ways you can effectively speed up this process on attack. I like to shoot the breach thing with the crossbow. I feel like it does damage. I don't know if it does or doesn't, but either way, sometimes I just get bored and they do random stuff. In this game, I think I got around 30 takedowns at about 2,000 objective score, which is pretty solid, and it gave me a pretty decent amount of XP. Bear in mind, I don't have champion status in this gameplay, and it was still very effective. Like I mentioned before, grabbing shields, damage, buffs, etc. will really increase the speed. Just look how I'm slaying multiple enemies, including the minions. I even got to a point where I was so strong I could even go into the minion spawn and kill basically all the minions. As you're doing this method, you'll slowly start to realize that once you've done this, you realize how a lot of people get to the crazy 1000 reps. Don't worry about that. You should always play a game for your own enjoyment, not superficial achievements. As we approach the end of this Breach game, I think you all need to know the timings of how long this took to get me this amount of levels. This Breach game took exactly 27 minutes. That roughly equates to a level every 13 minutes, which is still incredibly consistent. For some comparison, if you were to play Dominion, in some cases you don't even wrap up after a single game. This is definitely more consistent than Dominion, but I would call Dominion much more fun, especially if you have a 4-stack and a very cringe composition. The game is officially over. They got through the first gate, unfortunately, but my teammates weren't exactly top tier. I had 2 AIs, and you'll see exactly how much XP I get. 31 takedowns, a 2000 score, a score per minute about 124, gave me exactly 2 levels. Well, about 2.5. With the XP on top from my bonus XP I had on, it gave me an extra level. That's nearly 3 levels in 27 minutes of gameplay. Truly nuts. And that's all. That's all it takes to get to the max rank in this game. It really isn't that hard. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I've been Quillen. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys around.